and the word is love. It's just love. It's just love, 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 love. It's just love. Mm-hmm.
And welcome everybody to the second season of the Wisdom Factory. You were gathering us, everybody had a CD player, and you gave us the music, let's say. So I have a little bit an idea what it is, what you are doing, but I would like to ask you, what is it? Brain technologies?
We call it brain entrainment technology, and I think the earliest iteration was called binaural beats. And we, in our technology, we use that somewhat, but a lot more. I mean, that was like, you know, saying the internal combustion engine with the first Model Ts or something like that, and now we're driving, you know, Mercedes and yachts, right, and other much more advanced technology, and so it's more powerful and works better, and it's smoother, and we just learned so much about it. And how I got into this, and it's a great subject for me, wisdom and technology, because that's what I do, is get this technology out in the world, because it literally saved my life. And I've been using this technology. September 11th, 9/11, interestingly enough, 10 years ago is when I started doing this as a daily practice, and I've been doing it ever since. So it's something that I'm not selling, but I'm actually using myself, and so I am the chief practitioner here too, I think, because I really use it, and because I was so desperately depressed before. I was clinically depressed for years. My older brother committed suicide, so we're talking about severe depression. I wanted to die all the time. And because my older brother already did it, I didn't feel like it was an option for me, because suicide is just devastating for those who are left behind, and it certainly was. My parents didn't deserve it. His children, who kind of became my children. Anyway, all that, I just couldn't do it. So I was like, God, please take me, but I won't do it myself. And through grace and good luck, I began to discover a way out. As a part of that, in an interview with Bill Harris and Ken Wilber around that time, Bill was talking about this holosync technology that he had, and how it would, listening to these sounds, would take people in automatically, down into deep meditative states that normally would take people many, many years to cultivate the capacity to achieve those states through meditation. But anyway, it was a big push in the right direction. And then right after that, I started going through 9 months of releasing the trauma, layer after layer after layer, that had kept me depressed. And being a smart guy and trained as a therapist, I knew what my issues were. Okay, I knew exactly what had happened and why and all this stuff. But that's like reading the menu. Okay, trauma has to be released somatically, which I didn't know at the time. Trauma has to be re-experienced in the body. The thoughts come up. It's like, oh, don't look at this. It's too much. It'll kill you. You'll get stuck. You deserved it. Whatever. Thank you. You bracket that and stay with the feelings. And then I found out that other people were saying the exact same thing, that for trauma, Peter Levine, one of the gurus on the planet right now as far as trauma and PTSD, he says that trauma and PTSD is a biological problem, not a psychological problem, which is the emphasis. It has to be done somatically. And I was going, my God, there it is. It's what I've been saying, or what I've been experiencing. And if you want to get good at anything, whether it's meditation or playing tennis or playing the guitar or being a writer or a speaker, what does it take? Practice. You got to put in dedicated time and keep it up and push yourself to those beyond your success limits, to your failure limit, not to your fall apart, but just beyond your comfort zone on an ongoing basis. And boy, the brain and the body and the system reorganizes, and you'd be amazing how good you can get very quickly. And that's the same kind of dedication and practice that we bring to addiction. And one of the biggest detriments to meditation is people, I call it the meditation superego. This is what meditation's supposed to be like. I got an empty mind, everything's peaceful, and I'm just sitting there, right? Well, yeah, that's nice, and it does happen sometimes, but more times than not, you're struggling with your mind, your thoughts, things come up, this and that and the other. And if you just say, well, this sucks, and you give up at that point, that's part of the practice, going through all that stuff with awareness, with mindfulness. And I talk about I was being interviewed for another thing recently, and they were talking about beyond mindfulness, and I would say, well, there's inner mindfulness too, because a lot of people talk about, you feel your butt on the cushion or my hands on the chair, the fan, the wind in my face, just being aware of everything present. But it's also the inner awareness of the different voices and the different things and the subtle energies and all that's going on. And I got a bunch of voices. I got my, my angry teenager. I got my needy child. I got my, I don't know, intellectual. I got this, that, and the other. But there's also a wisdom place. And I can recognize that voice now because I practice with it. And I was listening to a talk by Helen Palmer, one of my teachers, an Enneagram teacher, and she said, well, how do you know if it's the wisdom voice or spirit or God or however you want to language that, this deeper knowing, or it's just one of your head trips or your other personalities? And she said the witness can discriminate. Okay, the observer self that comes online very quickly, interestingly enough, with this type of meditation can actually go, oh, well, that's this voice, that voice, but this is the wisdom voice, and that's mindfulness in an interior sense. And so now my important decisions in life, I can kind of make, whether I want to eat rice or potatoes for dinner or something like that without, going into channeling Ramtha or something. But when it comes to the deeper stuff, I have to sit and have to kind of go through these different layers of myself and tap in when I finally get, more spacious, and then it's like, okay. There it is, and I normally use a version of centering meditation, which comes from kind of an esoteric Christian background. Sans a lot of the theology behind it. I just focus on my heart and surrender, welcome divinity or spirit, higher self, essential self, however you want to say that, God, and then I just wait. And if I have a question, I just hold it out there.
Could you tell the people what exactly it is? What this technology is? Because
early on, back in the 70s, a neuroscientist found out that if you put, say, 100 beats or hertz in this ear using stereo headphones and 110 in this ear, that the brain kind of didn't know how to deal with that discrepancy, and in the mid part of the brain it would create a phantom wave of 5 hertz, which is kind of, theta, getting down a pretty low brainwave meditative states. So they said by, arranging these beats, you can actually entrain the brain when the brain splits the difference between these 2 hertz to whatever brain waves you want. Well, I'll get back to your original question. It's doing a lot of things. One of the things that we know that this technology does, it harmonizes the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And some neuroscientists say we have 2 brains, a left brain and a right brain. And the right brain tends to be, or the left brain tends to be more analytical, linear, figuring things out, blah, blah, getting things done. And the right brain is more interior, more intuitive, you might even say feminine. And so most of us are this or that, we're dominant on either side. But with this meditation, actually, you get to have your cake and eat it too, as it were. You have that brilliant analytical, get-it-done mind that comes online, but with the expanding intuitive understanding. So that's very important. There's new neural pathways that are created. They just did dissected Einstein's brain finally, and they found out that he had his connective tissue between the 2 hemispheres was super thick and fat. And what they accounted for that, by the way, getting back to music, he was a passionate violinist. Not many people know that. And that is the part of the brain that, when I'm playing, I play a lot of blues, electric lead, and this stuff and this flow states that happen, it's really changing the brain. So that's also happening in this meditation technique. You're getting a thicker neocortex, an increase in neurochemicals, positive neurochemicals, and there's a decrease in some of the negative, like CRF and cortisol, that are associated with stress, depression, relapse, etc. So the brain is just functioning at a higher level, and that's what's going physically. What that feels interiorly is you get more creative, you get more spiritually connected, your mind functions at a higher level, you have more of these vision logic experiences, it's higher level of understanding, you're generally happier, and you're much more resilient to stress. Once you get past the early stages of your own healing and stuff, that what becomes really one of the things that becomes important is your vocation. What are you here to give? What are your unique gifts? What are your callings? And when we get into that place in our lives where we're really doing what we were born to do. We know it right in there. It's like it's one of the greatest fulfillments of being a human being. And there seems to be a lot of energy that is really locked up in keeping these things in the unconscious. So when you actually allow the stuff finally to come up, they percolate, they express themselves somatically, but then there's a tremendous energy release. So and try to keep all these, these monsters in the basement out of awareness, or, you can split it off, you can become dissociated, or you can try to numb it out with alcohol and drugs, or you can try to project it on other people and blame everybody for your, interior pain, or you can develop diseases. There's different ways of doing it, but none of it's good. So you really have to let it out. And when this stuff comes up, and then it's like there's a new spaciousness, but now there's more energy, and there's available for being creative, for being spiritual, for being happy, for doing whatever you need to do or you're called to do in your life. And in a conversation with Ken Wilber, somebody said, well, isn't this all very elitist? Different levels, and he said, yeah, it is elitism, but it's an elitism to which everyone is invited. Okay, which I love. And that's so it's not just we're all the same. Well, yeah, but some of us are achieving more. Why? Because some of us are working harder, maybe. So it's not a quick fix. It's a lifetime commitment of waking up, showing up, growing up, and giving your gifts and dealing with it is to be a human being on the planet right now, and what that means at the exterior levels and at the deepest levels of our understanding.
With other words, become wise. And please check out John, buy his products, and go to our website, the wisdomfactory.de, and you will get the free gift. And enjoy the last music.